morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We hope it is good. Welcome to another edition of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I'm Ray Carsillo, and I'm still on fire, California. I'm joined by my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Elias. Lee, how are you doing today?
You just spoke like Gambit. You just merged all of those words into
all
one
the words
segment.
is one big sentence. Happy birthday, by the way, to your baby girl, by the way.
Thank you. My daughter is turning 8 years old today. It is chilly Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Not cold, but chilly, a little chill in the air. And Ray, we're going to start this episode. You said it. It is my daughter's 8th birthday today, which brings us to this week's DoorDash Dash of the Week. So she doesn't know this yet, and by the time this is being released, it's already happened. She has hockey practice tonight on her birthday.
Aww.
We'll do a little bit more of a birthday party this weekend. But I said to the team, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring 24 donuts to this practice for you kids to grab. I don't want to do the munchkins because these kids take their little sweaty hands and they put them in the munchkin box, and it's just a disease-filled box of sugar, and it's disgusting.
Also, to be fair, with shrinkflation now, the regular size donuts are almost munchkin size anyway. So.
Right. And it's not sanitary, and after COVID now, and these kids spread diseases like a petri dish. So I have it here, right? Dunkin' Donuts. I had the option between Dunkin' Donuts and Krispy Kreme. I'm not gonna lie to you. Dunkin' Donuts significantly more affordable.
I went to Dunkin'. America runs in Dunkin'.
I prefer Dunkin' Donuts over Krispy Kreme. Not knocking Krispy Kreme. Just prefer Dunkin' over Krispy Kreme.
100%.
Got it in here. I'm saving $4.24 with Dash Pass. 19 to 29 minutes. I'll give the guy a $3 tip today.
That's nice.
Not too far. Are we ready to begin?
Yes. The clock will begin
when I say so.
When you say yes.
Yes, when I say so. I just here we go. Actually, my wife's phone number is in here, so let me change that real quick. That would be fun.
Jen's like, why is Duncan calling me? Why is this DoorDash calling me?
Don't worry about it, Duncan. Okay, here we go. It's coming to the office, and let me hit the pay button. Don't start your clock yet. I will let you know. Are you ready, Ray?
Yes.
I will tell you when the clock begins. And here we go.
Okay. All right. Clock has started.
Right.
The clock has started.
Yes, and it says that it is going to be here at my office between 3:37, 3:47. Again, DoorDash, very acceptable times, by the way. And then I'll go out later. I'll get a little 8 candle to put in one of the donuts. We'll have a little hockey birthday party.
That's fantastic.
Happy birthday to my little lady.
Yeah.
8 years old today. Funny enough, Ray, I saw a picture of her today from her 4th birthday party. Someone showed it to me, and I said, look, that was half her life ago.
Wow.
It was
amazing. Amazing.
Ago for me. Anyway, yes, that's how we're starting. We're doing a DoorDash Dash of the week.
Yes, we have a massive show for the people this week. We are going to talk a little bit about Beetlejuice 2, a little non-spoilery review because Lee hasn't seen it yet. We'll do a full breakdown next week. Yes, we got a lot of football to talk about. We got a little bit of baseball, got a little bit of basketball. We got also some of that sad news that we'll end the show on, and also some breaking news.
But powerful. Like it's sad, but
it's a celebratory.
Yeah,
yes,
I think that's important. So stick around for the whole show because you're not going to leave it feeling horribly depressed, as Ray alluded to a minute ago.
No, I'm sorry, folks. I'm always horribly California. Depressed. Yes, I'm always horribly depressed, but that's why I need more Dunkin'. So, I got my Dunkin' already. Lee's Dunkin' is on the way. The DoorDash is going, but we're gonna kick things off with college football and another week of massive upsets. Lee, 3 massive upsets that I took note of. Also, a couple others that were close, but the 3 that were the big ones is that Georgia Tech, after starting off 2-0. Got knocked off by unranked Syracuse. So Georgia Tech recently finally joining the top 25. Now going to be back out of the top 25 after losing to Syracuse. Iowa State beat ranked Iowa. Iowa was 21. This is the first time Iowa State usually just struggles greatly against Iowa, but Iowa State held on 20-19 in that one. And the big one, Lee.
The big one.
This is the one that is going to really shake up the standings. Notre Dame, number 5 Notre Dame, that paid Northern Illinois University $1.4 million. Please play us. Please come to South Bend. Please play us. And Northern Illinois knocked off Notre Dame 16-14. The number 5 Fighting Irish aren't going to be ranked number 5 very much longer as they got knocked off. That is a massive, massive punch the gut. Now, of course, again, with the new playoff rules, the expanded playoffs, no single loss team is probably eliminated.
As
that's
it should
bad.
be.
That's a bad loss. That is a bad loss. As it should be, but that's a bad loss for Notre Dame. Lee, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts, Ray, are players are getting paid, and I think it's shaking up college football as we know it. And I think that it's completely changed how players approach the game, how players look at the game. And I think this can go both ways. I think you could pay to have better players. I also think sometimes paying players makes you a little less competitive. I think that might be playing into this a little bit here. I could be wrong. It could just be 2 weeks and there's just been a few upsets because there's upsets. But I think with the way the NCAA is working now and the agreements the players can have, you're going to see upsets like this because teams have very different personnel than they would have had just over a year ago. I like seeing it. I do not like expecting teams to win. And I think that it also might speak a little bit about the athletes that maybe they're prepared or not prepared. But if this continues, if this trend continues into week 3, 4, 5, and moving forward, I'm going to start thinking about this more and more of like, well, what's changed? The only thing that's changed is players can be paid now.
Yeah, the NIL deals and whatnot. So, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, also the transfer portal rules, right? Like portal rules, you have a lot of guys from smaller schools, and like a lot of you see players moving around in college football the way you see players moving around in the pros now, into almost like the free agency with the transfer portal and stuff like that. It's going to be really interesting to see how this season shakes out. But I think that one thing that we can put a finger on is that everything we thought we knew is we know nothing. It's out the window.
Yeah.
And possibly it's partially these guys. It's shaking off rust. A lot of teams, part of the reason why a lot of these powerhouses really play like against quote unquote, I don't want to say lesser teams, but they want to play against teams that are like, in the FBS or something else like that. They basically are, it's almost like a preseason for them. It's almost like a warm up. Right. And Rutgers is 2-0, by the way. Rutgers beat up on Akron this week, but you're seeing a lot of these teams now in the FBS are getting to be just as competitive, or obviously playing to the level of their competition, realizing they want to be. If you all remember from years ago when Appalachian State knocked off, I think it was Michigan, right? Like that was like you're starting to see this trend of FBS schools being able to upset the NCAA schools. And I think that you're also seeing, like, it even almost happened a couple of weeks ago with Colorado, right? North Dakota State, who's a perennial FBS powerhouse. Shout out to my friend Larry, who's going to love to hear that. But you're seeing the level of competition evening out for more so than ever in our lives before, I think.
Yeah, I think it's good for college football, but I think there's going to be a lot of traditionalists that don't want the change and they just want it to be the same 15 teams every year. And I think those days are done. And I'm all for it. No offense, 100%. But like when the SEC alone, and again, we're talking about other teams outside the SEC, but when they were just winning every single year, I know everybody in the Southeast tier of the United States loved that, and because it was like your team always winning, even though you guys will root for each other's teams at times, which
so
is
weird,
a little weird. But this is better. I think a national college landscape with you not knowing who's going to win every year is a good thing.
Yeah, 100%.
And I also think it's a good thing these players are getting paid. It's about time. I mean, colleges have lived off their backs way too much.
Hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, and I mean, you maybe billions, right? And I'll tell you this too, that while I think that paying players at that age will have challenges, it's the right thing to do. They have their talent.
And if anything, and if they happen to go pro, it'll actually prepare them more for when they start making the real money at the pros.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I've seen too many NCAA athletes with a future break a leg, literally, and that's it, and they have nothing. And it's like the acting job that they're going to school for, the college education, which they should do, but acting like that's why they're going. Those days have to get behind us now.
Yes, 100%, and
dual reason.
But again, I'm looking forward to the idea of, a 12, undefeated UCF team that they wouldn't let in the playoff years ago.
Yeah.
Right. Now we'll be in the playoff no matter what. And I think that this you're going to start
seeing
get
a true champion. You'll get a true champion. Yeah.
100%. Moving from college to the pros, much like a lot of these players. We're going to save the Giants rant. We're going to save it for the end.
We saving it? You don't want to start with it? Just get it out of the way?
No, because it's going to be a long one.
It's coming, friends.
Yeah, it's going to be a long one. By the way, I just a shout out to our buddy Matt. Want to give the quick weather report. It's only 97 here today in LA, by the way. Wanted to let him know that. Because Matt is always looking forward to the weather report. So
just sounds hot.
Yep. It'll cool off. It'll only be like 87 tomorrow. Finally, true fall will start to be here. But again, the pumpkin spice people cursed us. Everybody was like, pumpkin spice is here. And LA was like, fire. So anyway. Anyway, football.
Where do you want to start with football? Yeah, where do you want to start?
Where do we start? You know,
Aaron Rodgers made it through a game.
Aaron Rodgers made it through a game, and Jordan Mason got in a lot of trouble, the running back who filled in for Christian McCaffrey. First off, the Jets, honestly, if you thought the Jets were going to beat the Niners, you are a delusional idiot. It needs to be said.
You believe in magic.
You believe in magic. Yep. You still think the tooth fairy is real. You still leave milk and cookies out for Santa Claus. Look, I'm sorry. The Niners are just a very good team. And even not clicking on all cylinders, I actually was very close. If it wasn't for a garbage time touchdown by the Jets, when they put in Tyrod Taylor to kind of continue to protect Aaron Rodgers, I would have been very close. I predicted 31-10 Niners. But again, the Jets got a garbage time touchdown to make it 32-19 the final. I predicted that on my stream yesterday. And the Jets offense just did not look great. Aaron Rodgers looked rusty, right? He was not in sync with anybody. And again, this is the reason why I'm always with less preseason games now, it boggles my mind that teams do not let their starters play more when it is clear they need the reps. Because overall, not just this game, but I think overall in week one, it was a sloppy week for a lot of teams. I mean, we're going to go down the list, but like the Jets were another perfect example of a team that, like, I get you're trying to protect 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers and keep him a bubble wrap so that you don't lose him for another year. But you said you lost week one because he didn't look particularly good. He didn't look particularly bad. He didn't look particularly good though either. He didn't look like the guy you traded all that draft capital.
He looked like a 40-year-old quarterback. That's what he looked like.
Yes, 100%.
I mean, I don't know how else to sum it up. I mean, give him some time, give him a season, but like, they're gonna win some games and they'll be okay. I don't know what the magic for that team. You got to surround that guy with more than he has. Too many guys dropping passes.
Yeah,
and he's a capable enough quarterback that shouldn't be happening. So
yeah.
Week one for them out of the way. I mean, we can go around the league. I mean, I don't want to go through all the scores, right? Obviously, the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say
interesting. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah. Like, I mean, the Niners, of course, one of the three teams at the top of the NFC. They won. The Lions won Lions in overtime. Yeah, they were like, okay, it was a good game, and then the Lions were like, we're just gonna run the ball 10 straight times and end this, and they bullied the Rams in that overtime period. I don't know if it's because the Rams defense was tired or the Lions just were they retired and wanted to go home, but that was an impressive display, and you kind of wonder why they didn't do it sooner. So it didn't have to go to overtime, but the Lions won, and Lee, in the worst field ever created for football, the Eagles went down to Brazil, slipping and sliding and getting kicked up, but they won by 5. Jordan Love, unfortunately, got hurt in this, which I think puts the Packers season now on life support, because even though they're only going to lose him for a month, it's going to be a tough month without him.
They'll be climbing up a hill.
Yeah. Especially now that they're 0-1, and your Eagles flew real high in Brazil.
Is that all we're going to talk about, Ray?
No, we don't know. Oh, no. I just wanted to get your thoughts on these games first before we go into the
no. I meant, is that all you want to say about the Eagles? Is there anything, other notes on the Eagles that you wanted to provide to our audience as a Giants fan? Look,
Saquon did what Saquon does. When Saquon is healthy.
Wait a minute. That's not the message I was getting from every Giant fan across America last week. It was when he gets hurt on the first drive and he's out for the season, you guys will feel that. And the guy gets 3 touchdowns in one game. Now, again, any player can get injured, but that was a statement.
And Saquon has a tendency to get hurt. I mean, to be fair,
that's true. I can't deny that.
You guys also, I mean, it did look like one of my other Eagle friends were like, it looks like Saquon had his bell rung there, and he sat a couple of drives at the end of the first half, which wouldn't surprise me either. But he had a great game, and look, and that's what Saquon is capable of. When Saquon, the one fully healthy year that Saquon had for the Giants, it was an MVP caliber year. Right. The problem is that for most of his Giant career, he was injury prone. Some of it was on the offensive line, but some of it was also just.
Let me equate it to that. That's where I'm going to go with this. This is not a shot at the Giants so much, but a statement.
Yeah.
It's only one game, but that game shows you what happens when a talented player like him is surrounded by other talent. He looks great. He looks amazing, and the talent shines through. It shows you how off their belts the Giants are right now. All right. We'll get to them in a minute, but it shows you how poor that team is. Just to talk about the Eagles, they looked rusty as hell. Got a new center. There's a lot of things that we need to work on. I shouldn't say a new center. We have a new starting center.
Right?
Yeah. And I think that there was a lot of mistakes made in that game that are easily correctable in terms of just snap counts and paying attention. And you could see Jalen Hurts on the sideline talking to him the whole game. But it's a strong start for the team.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for Brazil, there'll never be another NFL game there.
No, this is a horrible.
I'll give the crowd a lot of credit. The crowd showed up. They were huge NFL fans. They were great, but you cannot be expecting your players to play on field conditions like that. I mean, there were several times during the game, Ray, on either team, a player started slipping near a tackle. Yeah. And I'm like, man, if that tackle goes wrong, this guy's going to break something.
Yeah.
Just because he can't stand on his feet. Like the ability to take a hit, for those you don't know, the ability to take a hit is a skill. All right. It's just as important as giving a hit. Taking a hit is very
being able
important.
to brace yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you are not sturdy on your feet and you're getting hit, I mean, you can really get hurt. Yeah. So that was ridiculous to me. I don't even know how that game was played down there. I mean, they learned their lesson. But Eagles came through. That's exactly what they needed to do. Saquon had a big game. Jalen Hurts threw a few interceptions, which is funny after him not throwing any in the preseason. But, I mean, again, it's a good week one game. I'm not sitting here like, oh, Super Bowl, we're the best NFC East team. I feel like we haven't really seen them play yet because of the field condition.
Sure. No, I don't want to. And I think going back to it, I think the whole NFL felt rusty because of how the preseason works now. I think a lot of teams showed a lot of rust.
Yeah.
The Bills had to come back. The Dolphins had to come back. The Bears came back in one of the weirdest fashions ever. The Bears are only the third team in the last 25 years. The Bears did not have an offensive touchdown. They only scored on defense and special teams, and it is the third time in I think 306 NFL games over the last 25 years that a team that without scoring off anything with any offensive touchdown or whatever, like that they were able to win. I think the Bears did it twice. They did it twice. They did it once when Rex Grossman, I think, was quarterback as well.
When Earl was there?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. That would make sense.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, the Bears came back, but a lot of really sloppy play around the league. Again, got to mention Jets the only team in the AFC East to lose, as the Patriots also pulled out a win against a very sloppy and rusty-looking Bengal team. Joe Burrow coming back from injury did not look sharp. Like,
I would say this. None of the results shocked me, and I mean like shocked me. This is my week one kind of conclusion. None of the results shocked me, and the Dallas Cowboys fans think they're going to the Super Bowl. That's the week one. I mean, man, you guys are unbearable. I mean, look, you won a game handedly. Calm down. You got to be kidding me. Like, do you ever learn? It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that also, and I think Cleveland. I mean, we're gonna talk about some bad quarterbacks now, but we're gonna start with Cleveland, Deshaun Watson. That has to go down as probably one of the worst trades in NFL history, because Deshaun Watson is no longer an NFL caliber quarterback.
No.
After all the drama, after all the time off, it is clear Deshaun Watson is the reason why Dallas won that game and Cleveland lost that game. Cleveland, like a couple of teams I'm going to mention now, are probably a quarterback away from turning their franchise around. And Cleveland is in trouble because I think, honestly, if I was Cleveland, I would look into starting Jameis Winston as soon as possible, because as erratic as Jameis Winston is, that team loves him. He wants to compete for that team. He has won before, right? At least the division with the Bucs, Jameis Winston has been able to win before. I think Jameis Winston gives the Cleveland Browns a better chance to win than Deshaun Watson does at this point.
Wow, that's a statement.
Yeah. So
you heard it here first, folks.
Yeah,
I haven't heard anyone else say that.
the same way that Baker Mayfield absolutely balled out on Sunday, best performance around the league in the entire NFL.
He's
Baker
a great
Mayfield
quarterback.
Been saying that forever.
We both listen. We both have since he was on the Browns.
On Cleveland.
Yeah,
people are like, well, people are like, why is he struggling? It's like because his arm is hanging on a thread because you can't protect him.
You know what I think? It didn't hurt him. You know what I think happened, man? I think he's a little bit of a loudmouth in a good way. In a good way. He's just not afraid to talk.
Yes.
And I think that makes some people very nervous and they don't like it and they think he's cocky. And I'm like, you know what, man? If you look at every great quarterback, really, like the last, let's just do 10 years.
Yes.
They're all like that. Brady was outspoken. People go, oh, well, Mahomes isn't like, yes, he is. Do you see how this guy handles himself in public?
Yes.
He looks like Boz right now. He's out there with the glasses and stuff like that. You look at the Kelsey brothers. This is the new NFL. And I think you got some old school owners that think, well, don't ever talk. You should never talk. Star never talked. It's like, what? What? Like these guys are ballers. And I'll tell you right now, I liked Mayfield right away. I liked him right away. And I think 100%. He's a good quarterback. And I think it's time we start talking about him as one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL.
He got a raw deal in Cleveland. He got hurt. And then everybody was like, and he played through the injury because even hurt.
Which is a good sign.
Yeah, he did give that team a better chance to win hurt than the backup did at the time.
Right. Matt Stafford. The most played clip of him. What is it? You know what I'm talking about?
When he gets his bell rung and then he throws the game-winning Hail Mary.
Yeah, with his shoulder pretty much out of its socket.
Yeah,
he comes off the field like. Yeah, it's like you want that guy. He's won a Super Bowl, by the way, since then.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Mayfield at some point leads the Bucs to not this year, but in a year or two, they build around him. Mayfield's a franchise quarterback.
He is. Ray, quick DoorDash Dash of the Week update. The donuts are picked up en route. I'm watching the driver. Says they will be here between 3:40, 3:42, which as we're recording, Ray, is just a mere 3 to 5 minutes away. I'll have my Dunkin' here. Back to football.
Yeah. So, and real quick, before we go to the other terrible quarterbacks, I do want to mention about guys who got in trouble for talking this week. Jordan Mason, the running back for the Niners, to go back to the beginning. I don't know if you saw this. In his post-game interview, they asked, when did you find out you were starting? Because it was a big deal that Christian McCaffrey was supposedly a game-time scratch. And he's like, oh, I found out on Friday. And everybody, a big whoops, because the thing is that needs to be disclosed.
Yeah.
Because not only for the opponents, but also because of all the gambling.
Yes.
Because that would change so much of the spread. And all the gambling people were like, they knew on Friday. Oh my God.
You're blowing your mic out. You're so upset about this.
All the degenerates freaked the hell out. And so then in his post-game press conference, they asked him again. He's like, I'm not answering that question now. You all got me in too much trouble anyway. This is why I hate talking to the media. And it's a shame because obviously Shanahan to me, he's like, no, I didn't say that. I didn't say on Friday. I said to be ready. I said, because we thought he was going to need a bigger workload for sure, but we didn't say he was starting.
It means he started thinking about it on Friday, assuming they're telling him the truth.
Yeah, it's first off, it's a sin that honestly so much of the gambling and all of this to me has so much of an influence on this, because it's like, I get it. It is, I guess, a competitive thing where it's like, oh, well, we're preparing for Christian McCaffrey, and then Christian McCaffrey doesn't play. But the real driver of this is the gambling, the degenerates out there. Like, I got so many texts from my friends. It's like, I used my first round draft pick on Christian McCaffrey, and he's not even playing. Well, I don't care about your fantasy team, guys. I really don't. I don't care.
Yeah, that's just luck of the draw, guys. You're owed nothing. You're owed nothing from these teams. All right, I've heard that. Well, you owe me that. You are owed
zero.
Nothing. Okay,
you get nothing. Good day, sir.
I mean, that's the clip that they should be sharing with all these bettors and all these fantasy football players. And here's the deal: pay attention. Pay attention, because I'll tell you what. If you really care, you can find out who's playing before your game starts.
Yep, you can make the change before the game. So yeah, it's ridiculous. So I feel bad for Jordan Mason because he's probably going to get fined. He's probably going to get something's going to happen to him, and he knows he got in trouble and that he slipped up, and that's a shame. Also talking about people who are got in trouble, but shouldn't have gotten in trouble. Tyreek Hill, before the Dolphins game, speeding to get to the game, was running late.
Oh, it's brutal.
Got pulled over, and understandably so. The tape has been released. Was short with the police. He was like, "Please, guys, just give me the ticket. I really need to get going. Just give me the ticket. Let me go going."
It was a little more than that. I mean, he was telling, "Don't bang on my window," and it's like, "Oh, dude."
Yeah. Well, I mean, but it's also like the cops then, of course, escalated things. They basically forcibly dragged him out of the car.
Yeah,
and made him lay in the ground.
Everybody was wrong.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
That's
how things just got worse and worse. The police are now on administrative leave, and it just I don't know. That's Florida. Like, I mean, it's a shame, and it's a shame that we're at this point. Like, again, it's again, like you said, everybody was wrong. Tyreek obviously giving the cops an attitude
that's wrong. Yeah, no,
like,
you listen. I'm a believer that in those situations when you're pulled over, as the driver, you need to start with respect. But with that said, the police officer should be respectful too. And I don't think
100%. And also the police should not be looking to escalate the situation, which is what these officers did.
Get out of the car.
Right.
Just get out of the car. I was like,
it's like, no, that's not how this goes.
Hey, Ray.
Yeah.
Can I give you a quick update?
Sure.
My daughter's going to be a happy little lady when she receives these 24 donuts. We're going to make her eat all 24, and then she'll never have a donut again.
I don't think that's a good idea.
That's not a good idea. Caitlin, would you please put these in the fridge? Like, Caitlin, this is, I don't even know what's in here. I just got surprised me. Watch, they're all going to be blueberry.
Oh, God.
I can't. Can I look? Can we open these live on the air?
By the way, 23 minutes and 41 seconds was the final time.
Oh, no, they went all, thank you, Ray. Let me see if I can get this on camera. They did a nice little assortment here.
Yeah.
A couple coolers in there.
Good. Yeah, that's good.
A couple old ones.
That's good.
Like, I can't wait for the kids to be like, well, I wanted sprinkles. Like, you'll get what you get, and you don't get upset.
There you go.
That's the other one. Now, Caitlin's asking about the other one, and I got to keep talking because we're live on a broadcast. Now, the other one's a lot of sprinkles. This is going to be the winner with the kids, and the other one's going to be the winner with the adults. Dunkin' Donuts and DoorDash coming through on this week's DoorDash of the week. Dunkin', it's something else.
It's something. No, America runs on Dunkin'.
It's true. I've always liked that slogan.
Yes, I think it's
my wife is texting me now. I'm live on the air. She doesn't know I'm live on the air. She has a real job, and I'm on the air.
She saves people.
On the air, what do you want? No, I would never say that to her. On the air, I have the donuts.
Hi, Dr. Jan. Hi, Dr. Jan.
Ray says hi, live on the air. There you go.
Well, if you want this, I mean, like, so that's some other bad. So that's a real rough story in the league, obviously, with Hill. And honestly, it is continuing to highlight a problem with law enforcement in the country. Sometimes trying to, I don't know, sometimes just going a little too far, guys. And that's, I think, that's the understatement of the century.
Like, just to close the loop on that, it's just unfortunate. It's like the whole thing was unfortunate. Everyone was a jerk.
Yep.
And it just didn't have to happen that way. But it shows you how on edge people are.
Yes. Everybody's on edge, especially me. We'll get into that in a minute. But first,
I can't wait to get into that.
Last terrible quarterback before the worst quarterback, to go back to the other thing we were doing. Kirk Cousins looked like crap for the Falcons. No surprise there. The Pittsburgh Steelers, the only team to not score a touchdown and win on Sunday. They had 6 field goals and won 18-10. Justin Fields now 1-0 as a Steeler. Russell Wilson was a late scratch as well. He was hurt and banged up, and Fields played pretty decent. Although they didn't find the end zone, he played pretty decent, guiding that Steelers offense. And I think they're only going to get better. And I think Justin Fields is going to have a redeeming year with a real team around him in Pittsburgh. Man, how funny that would have been if they had only given him that in Chicago. Oh wait, they gave that all to Caleb Williams, and they didn't score an offensive touchdown either on Sunday. No touchdowns, I should say, for Pittsburgh. Obviously, the Bears scored defensive touchdowns. Anyway, Kirk Cousins did not look good. Going to be curious how long leash they give him after giving him that mega deal in the offseason. Because they also drafted Michael Penix, who's sitting right there. He's ready to go.
Right there, and he is going to be in this season.
I think so too.
I'll make that statement now. Can I set up this next quarterback?
Please.
So, question, Ray. Last week on the show, we did our NFL predictions, and I'm not jabbing you here, but you picked the Giants to come in third in the NFC East. I'm not doing this again. This is an honest question. I am not being an Eagles fan hating on a Giants fan. You got this 1 week chance, though. Do you wish to change that prediction?
Yeah.
Listen. I'm giving you the biggest brother hug right now. You know my Eagles have gone through many, many years of extreme pain. And because I love you so much, I understand. Don't ever want the Giants to win. I can say that, but I don't want you to be in this much pain. I want the Giants to be competitive. But they looked like complete dog shit when I make the game this weekend. You don't even have to bleep it out. I want everyone to know how they look. This isn't a rant. Ray's going to rant. It's embarrassing that I don't usually talk like this. He sucks. He is so bad. And I do not understand why they put everything on this guy. That's what blows my mind. I feel bad for him, right? I feel bad for Daniel Jones that he's in this position. I don't understand.
So let's start again with the starters needed more reps in the preseason. Why the third string quarterback was starting the third game of the preseason, I have no idea. Because you know another guy who's coming off injury, and it happened again with Joe Burrow. Every quarterback, happened with Aaron Rodgers. Every quarterback who hasn't taken a real snap in over a year, they need reps. It's the same thing that happened to Aaron Judge in the preseason. He got 30 at-bats in the spring training, and then they're like, why do you get off to a slow start in April? Pro athletes need reps to get back into game shape. That being said, Daniel Jones could have had 5,000 preseason reps, and it would not have mattered.
5,000. Wow.
Folks, first off, I want to say welcome finally to the rest of the Giants fan base for joining me on the right side of history, since I've been saying this for 6 goddamn years. And now suddenly everybody's like burning his jersey in the parking lot and calling him Danny Pennies and all that stuff. No, he's Danny Dumpster Fire. He's been since the day we drafted him. And yours truly, we have the tapes, have been calling it for years. And now we're going to break down why. Because Sunday was a microcosm that fully summarizes how awful Daniel Jones is. Let us begin with a thing called the run-pass option, okay? Jalen Hurts, speaking of Lee's Eagles, runs this to perfection.
Every time.
Because Jalen Hurts knows how to recognize a defense. 6 years in the league, and Daniel Jones still can't recognize a defense. The reason why he threw one of the worst pick sixes I've ever seen is because Daniel Jones is predetermining this before the snap where he's going with the ball on the RPO, which you're not supposed to do. I get it. You have a second to make that decision. A second. But quarterbacks, especially because you run this in college, at this point, Daniel Jones should have been running this for almost 10 years of his life, at the very least. And he still can't recognize if the linebacker is going to crash on the receiver, which then you hand the ball off, or if the running back or the linebacker is going to crash on the running back, which means you throw the quick little slant or the screen pass to the receiver. He can't still recognize professional defenses. He can't do it still. And Sunday again proved that. That's point number one. Which also, by the way, Daniel Jones, since signing his mega deal, which we're going to get into how awful that was once again, Daniel Jones has thrown 2 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, including 3 pick sixes since signing that mega deal. He's thrown more touchdowns to the other team than to the Giants. That's the first thing.
That's an incredible stat. It really is.
Daniel Jones had no touchdowns again on Sunday. He now has 60 career NFL starts. In 20 of those starts, that's 1 out of every 3, he has not thrown a passing touchdown. That is abysmal. That is abysmal. I don't know if Tom Brady had a single start in his career where he didn't throw a touchdown pass. I don't know if Eli did. Like you're talking single digits, right? Daniel Jones, 20 out of 60.
That's unbelievable stat.
He had
That's
42.
Unbelievable.
It's
That's
unbelievable. He had 42 attempts on Sunday. He made one NFL caliber throw. One. Because he doesn't know what he's doing. This is another fun stat. A lot of times the offensive line used to get blamed for all the sacks.
Yeah.
In more recent
years, we were critical of them.
Yes.
To be fair, like I remember talking as like, we don't really know what this guy can do. It doesn't look good, but because of the O-line, it's not fair.
But the Giants rebuilt the O-line in the offseason.
They did. Yes, they did.
Went and got John Runyon from the Packers. They went and got
they got the pieces they needed to remove that objection.
Yes. Daniel Jones was pressured 18 times on Sunday, which on 42 dropbacks actually isn't a lot. And he was sacked 5 times, which is still a lot. But the NFL, now that they look at this and they're like, well, who's at fault here? 3 of the 5 sacks were Daniel Jones's fault. Because he literally did not know what to do and ran right into defensive linemen. He's like, hold me, man, dressed in purple. I don't know what to do. Please bring me to the ground. I'm panicking again because I'm a dumpster fire. 3 of the 5 sacks were Jones's fault. And 7 of the 18 pressures were his fault, where he ran into the blitz. He ran into the pressure. The Giants' offensive line was responsible for only 55% of the pressures. That was the lowest amount of any offensive line in the entire league this week. So guess what, folks? It ain't the offensive line's fault. He's a dumpster fire. He's a disgrace. Somebody should be like, should take a brick and throw it at his head. Like, hey, Danny, here's how you throw a spiral. Boom, and break his head open. And then you would see there's nothing inside. I'm being facetious. Don't actually do this. But like.
Thank you, Ray, just in case any of you out there, that's the case that happens.
Daniel Jones, I said it when we drafted him. And look, and I get it. He had that in the contract year. He had that amazing 6-7 game run. He beat the Vikings in the playoffs. So I get that you were behind the 8 ball and you had to give him a contract or at least offer him something. But I said it at the time. And again, you can go back and look at the tape. I said you give him a 2-year deal. You give him a lot of money in those 2 years, but you give him a 2-year deal. Say, do it again. Say, do it again, Danny. You don't give him a 4-year deal, and that's what they did. You don't even give him, or if you give him a 4-year deal, you don't give him $40 million a year. Like I said, 20 to 25, and I get it, it's a quarterback league, but Daniel Jones is not a professional level quarterback, and that's the problem. It was either give him the length and no money, or you give him money and no length. It can't have been both. The Giants gave him both, and they screwed the franchise over for another year while wearing those disgusting Montreal Canadian uniforms. They looked like a bunch of jackasses on Sunday. It's a disgrace.
Disgusting only in the fact that jersey doesn't belong in football. It belongs in ice hockey because they look great in ice
hockey.
It's awful in football, but it's fantastic in ice hockey.
Sure.
Right. The final point I'm going to make about this is, and I'm bringing actually like this from a coaching standpoint or organizational sports standpoint. The fact that Saquon Barkley left this organization and went to the arch rival in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Tells you a little bit about this organization. Like, he literally walked on top of them and said, I'm going to Philadelphia because they'll treat me better. And I think when you watch some of these behind-the-scenes footage, excuse me.
Yeah, and by the way, you look terrible being on Hard Knocks, Giants.
Horrible. They look horrible. They look like a team you don't want to play for.
Nope.
And the other thing, too, it was a mistake to do that. I don't know what they
Oh, my God, 100%.
All right. And the other thing, too, is
said it at the time.
I guarantee you that the Daniel Jones extension was based on, well, let's not put too much pressure on him. Let's just let him know we're behind him. Let me tell you something, friends. At the professional level of sports, that is not something you can do in that way. You support him with the best coaches. You support him with the best staff in terms of players and staff around them. You support him by saying you're in a contract year. Let's get you everything you need to make sure you can show us that you can do what you can do.
Yep.
You appease an athlete, you're going to get Daniel Jones level performances. There's a reason we call it the contract year.
Yep.
All right. And
there's a reason why Daniel Jones only performed in his contract year.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, proving my point. This team is missing the mark, especially in a game like football. There's a certain ferocity, a ferociousness that you have to survive at the professional level. And as owners, you have to cultivate that. And you can do it in a nice way. I know that sounds kind of weird the way I'm saying it.
No.
But I don't have any problem when I was coaching pro sports saying to my athletes, I like what you're doing. I'm going to support you. You need to put it where your mouth is right now, and you will be rewarded. You will be rewarded. And if, I'll tell you right now, if that guy gets injured, because it does significantly lower their value, I will take care of that guy if he wants to stay. That is always, and I have done that. But it's like that scene in Mr. Deeds, when the quarterback from the Jets comes in. He's like, well, I want more money. And he goes, well, if you pay back, can we give you less money? He's like, no. He's like, yeah, okay, we're just going to cut you then. What?
Yeah.
You can't cut. That's exactly how the negotiations should take place.
But that's how it should. That's how the Giants should have done.
Again, you have been ultra critical of Daniel Jones since the day he was drafted.
Yes.
And again, we talked about this last week. It was a total Carson Wentz style. They thought they figured something out. It is not working. No. And I do not understand how they have dragged the New York Football Giants, a team that I can't stand, but I also respect beyond belief, and they can't figure this out. It's despicable. I don't like Giants fans. I don't like the Giants. I'm saying it as an Eagles fan. This is not good. No. I'm not laughing. I laugh at the Cowboys because they are kind of good and they can't figure it out.
Yeah.
This team just sucks. And it's I shouldn't say the team. Daniel Jones.
No, it's
so rarely critical of athletes.
You look at Sunday, because there are positives. The rookies, Tyler Nubin, and Drew Phillips on defense.
What's going to happen? He's going to have a bounce back game, right? He's going to look okay, and people are going to. Guys, you got to move on from this.
No, you need to look at the draft. I'm looking at if Milroe out of Alabama comes out. Carson Beck is top of the list. Carson Beck out of Georgia, who's a senior who will be declaring for the draft. He's top of the list.
Anyone is going to be better.
Ewers out of Texas. If Ewers wants to declare for the draft, I want him. I go Beck, Ewers, Milroe.
How many quarterbacks have been drafted out of Duke since he's been drafted?
The only two quarterbacks that I know that have been drafted out of Duke is Dave Brown of the Giants 30 years ago and Daniel Jones of the Giants 6 years ago. And you know what? They both suck. The level of competition that you face at the college level matters when you go to the pros. And guess what? Duke football, I think, has played one meaningful game in my entire life. That is not a college that you go, maybe an offensive lineman or something, right? You get a big fat fatty or something out of there, sure. But, you're not getting a quarterback out of Duke. This is basic football. They are a basketball school and a tremendous basketball school. But it is not a football school.
Never has been.
No.
I
want Beck out of Georgia.
College, yeah.
Beck out of Georgia. Ewers at the fact that I already have my quarterback power rankings in week 2 says everything you need to know. But it also says the Giants have been looking to trade up and get rid of Daniel Jones for a couple of years. The guaranteed money runs out this year on this contract. The Giants cut Jones. They saved 78 of the last 80 million on this deal. Daniel Jones needs to be cut at the end of the season. It feels like the Giants are tanking after week 1 because that was the most pathetic performance I've ever seen. And people are like, oh, you gave up 28 points. No. Pick 6. The defense gave up 21 points, which is the league average. The defense played fine on Sunday, although David McSandarmo looked like freaking Joe Montana. But then again, he was throwing to Justin Jefferson, and Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the league, arguably, at this point. The defense played fine. You want more pressure from Burns and Thibodeau? Absolutely. But them two, you can caulk it up the rust. The defense played fine. They gave 21 points. They had 2 turnovers. Defense was not the issue. It was the offense. And primarily Daniel freaking Jones. Neighbors looked great. Singletary was fine. But again, this is also why you see why the 60% of the offense went through Saquon the last several years.
Yep.
Because it had to. Because Daniel Jones is not the guy. Daniel Jones can't pull his own weight. So Saquon had to pull his weight and Daniel Jones's weight. And that's why he always got hurt a lot. At least that's what I'm suspecting. We'll see what happens. Anyway, that's the NFL this week, guys. Let's move to baseball. Baseball! Yay! Baseball!
I like baseball. Baseball's fun.
My Yankees finally stopped playing games, called up #1 prospect Jason Dominguez, because now they don't think he's going to get enough at-bats to qualify for his rookie year, because Brian Cashman, doing what he always does, like, well, if we hold him back 2 weeks, maybe we'll lose some games, but we'll get an extra draft pick the year after if he wins rookie of the year. But win now! Play the games now! Win now! You are the goddamn New York Yankees! I punched the table so hard.
Ray, is there an earthquake going on in Los Angeles, Ray? Your whole camera set just fell down. I just want to make sure you're all right.
It's me banging on the table, and I'm just really. The Yankees are a game and a half back up in the East now, but the Yankees should have been running away with this division. They should have been running away with this division. Aaron Boone sucks. Clay Holmes, before they removed him finally after blowing 11 saves. Removed him finally from the closer role. He was on pace to tie the all-time blown saves record set in the 70s. That's how bad Clay Holmes was. And now Boone's like, I guess I should make a move. I guess I should make a move. I guess I can make a move now. Give me one bubble gum. I'm right in front of my...
All right. Well, look, I'll say this. I do agree with what you're saying about winning now. You do have to look at the future as a GM or an owner, but you don't put that out in the public. That team could win a World Series this year. Unlikely, but they could do it.
Call up the guys that you can help you win now. I'm sorry, but as a Yankee fan, it's like, well, do you want an extra, not an extra first round draft pick in 2026, or you want to win the World Series this year?
Well, look, this is the thinking that Steinbrenner had. What you're wanting is what Steinbrenner would do. I want to win now. I want to win every year, and that's exactly right.
Lee, would you if it was guaranteed the Phillies would win the World Series this year, would you give up your first round draft pick?
Whatever you were going to say, I would have said yes to. Honestly, whatever you were going to say.
Yeah. It's one draft pick. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. A draft pick. You want a draft pick for a World Series? Absolutely. Now, I don't know if Dominguez is the guy, but he is clearly head and shoulders above several guys who are on the roster. And the fact that you gamed this service time garbage still to try to get an extra draft pick and sacrificed a half dozen games because of that, you're cutting off your nose to spite your face.
That's why they made that statement. That phrase exists for these situations.
Hey, Lee, your Phillies are playing pretty good.
Phillies are the best team in baseball, right? Well, they're trading it back and forth with the Dodgers, but
yeah.
It's funny. We had a series against the Marlins for you that don't follow the Phillies, and we put up 16 runs, I think.
Yeah.
And then we lost the next 2 games, thus making the joke that we scored all our runs in that first game. But we beat Tampa Bay last night in a little bit of a last second win. The Phillies look fine. They look good. They're just gearing up. They're in pre-playoff mode. It's exactly where they need to be. And I am excited. Now we got several NL East series coming up against the Mets. Obviously just had one against the Marlins. So it's going to be interesting only in the sense of we could really run away with the division right now. There's very little chance of them losing the division barring a massive collapse. But the next couple of weeks, they're 6-7 game winning, or not winning streak. They're 6 or 7 games up right now in the division. That could double pretty quickly if they're not careful, if they're careful.
Yeah. Well, the Mets have won 11 of their last 12. This is an un-Mets-like September. They've gotten red hot, and they're now a game up on the Braves for the last wild card spot. But similarly, the Mets and Braves have a 3-game series towards the end of the season. Yankees and Orioles have a 3-game series. It could determine those series could determine if the Mets make the playoffs, and it could determine if the Yankees win the division or if they're a wild card team.
Yeah,
so 2 very big
interesting
series coming up.
Yeah.
But of course, we're rooting against the Mets.
Always.
Real quick, WNBA update. The Indiana Fever have clinched a playoff berth. They are officially the 7th seed.
Yeah, I'm happy. Listen, I've been watching, Ray. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been watching these games. They've screwed up Caitlin Clark's introduction to the WNBA, but they have nailed the season. These are fun games to watch. I'm looking forward to the playoffs. I'm gonna watch them.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of a Fever fan right now. I'm not gonna lie. I want them to win.
I'm still rooting for the Liberty, but yeah, I mean, Indiana, and right now Indiana's in the 6th seed, but they've won 8 of their last 10. Yeah. And they can't fall below the 7 seed. So
listen, they have found their footing, pun intended. Unlikely they're gonna win, for those of you that are dreamers out there. You know, she has no playoff experience in the WNBA. To be fair to every other basketball player out there, she's never won anything massive at the highest level. So I think there's gonna be a learning curve there. She's been to the national championship, but she never won it. So there'll be a learning curve there. Interestingly enough, and you're going to transition to this, the Rookie of the Year race kind of just got locked up because of an unfortunate injury to Angel Reese.
Yeah. Angel Reese's season is officially over. She injured her wrist, and you hate to see it, but it also basically, to me, clinches Caitlin Clark as Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I thought she had it prior, and that's not a shot at Angel Reese, but if they screw that up, it's going to be a problem. But it's been a wonderful season of WNBA basketball. I'm looking forward to the playoffs, and there's so many new fans now. It's refreshing, man. And again, I hope this follows again, just like it did last year, into the Professional Women's Hockey League this year, because people were watching those games. They were selling out NHL stadiums. And Ray, we didn't talk about this. All of the PWHL teams have names now. They were given names. It's not just Toronto and Boston. Would you like to hear the names?
Yes, I would be thrilled.
I will bring them up. I'm actually interested to get your thoughts on the names. Sorry.
Ooh, I just pulled them up myself.
There you go. You're faster than I am. Go ahead.
The Boston Fleet.
Yeah, interesting. It's an interesting. So our producer Caitlin.
Yeah.
One of our producers, because Sabi's the other one, wanted them to be called the Boston Wicked, and I said that's actually a really good name for Boston.
Yeah, and so close to Salem and everything. Yeah.
Well, and just they say wicked. It's wicked good. It's wicked awesome.
Yeah.
I think they missed an opportunity there. That would have been
100%. Cool, yeah, I don't know where Fleet comes from, but like
they're right on the water.
Yeah, I guess.
Boston, I mean, the last time something happened there, the Bay, it wasn't exactly.
Yeah, it was like 250 years ago, guys. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's Boston for you, but only a quarter millennia behind the times. Yeah. Minnesota Frost. I like that one.
Great name. Makes a lot of sense. Should 100%. Be the Minnesota Tundra, but Frost will work.
Frost works. Yeah, for sure. Permafrost. I like that. The Montreal Victory.
We'll just go with Victory. That's the American or the English pronunciation.
Yeah.
But that's a great name. That's a perfectly Montreal name. I'm glad they went with the French Canadian spelling on that.
For sure.
It's just French spelling. I don't know why I'm saying Canadian. It's just French.
Yeah, French. Yeah. The Ottawa Charge.
Good name.
It's not bad. Yeah. Although it's a penalty in hockey, so charging. Yes.
I got the reference.
Yeah. Okay. Toronto Scepters.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know what it is? That's just like we're not the Maple Leafs. That's what.
Yeah, we're gonna distance ourselves as much as possible from Canadian iconography.
Yes.
And all right, and then the New York Sirens, which I'm cool with.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of different ways you could take that name.
A lot of sirens going on in New York all the
time.
Also, obviously, enticing people to their doom out on the high seas. If you're a mythology fan,
I like that siren. Yes.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. Yeah, I'm going to say I think the Frost is my favorite of these 6 names.
Frost makes the most sense. I think the best name is actually Montreal.
I don't like it. Montreal. I never want to give Montreal anything.
I'm gonna give him something here. I like that name. Yeah. I like the name Montreal Victory, or however you say it with the French Canadian
Victoire.
Yeah, Victoire. Yeah, I don't know, but I like that name. So Ray and I disagree. Finally, it happened.
It happens once in a while.
It does.
But I like the Frost a lot. And then I'll probably Sirens next, which obviously who I'm going to root for automatically. So.
Before we move to the geek section, I have one more quick sports update.
Oh.
Because this was interesting. So the governing body for breakdancing, and it's a legit governing body. You don't get the Olympics without that.
Yeah.
Have named Ray Gunn. Everybody remembers her from the Olympics. The #1 breakdancer in the world. And I'll tell you what. I actually kind of respect them for this because that says more about their culture and their community.
Yeah.
That breakdancing is an expression.
Yeah.
Than anything. It's a statement. She's clearly not the #1 breakdancer in the world.
Sure.
Okay.
But for better and for better for worse,
right. She shined
a light on the sport
right.
that few others had up until that point.
They're nodding to her. I compliment them for making that decision.
Yeah.
But I wanted to bring that up because she's probably, dude, she must have felt like she let the whole breaking community down. And I think that's the breaking community lifting her back up. And that's special.
Yeah, and it also helps because it'll probably help keep her out of jail. So, because she's being investigated for like for that. So them acknowledging her as a legitimate breakdancer will help her argument.
Can you imagine that? Why are you in? I breakdanced in the Olympics.
I said I was a breakdancer, and then nobody believed me.
Nobody believed me,
or everybody believed me, and then they realized I was lying.
I was an international meme for 2 weeks.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah. You know what else is a little unbelievable? That we got a sequel to Beetlejuice after almost 35 years.
Yeah. And you saw it. So for everybody listening, this is not a spoiler alert. This is a spoiler-free commentary from Ray. Next week we will have a spoiler alert, but most of you will have seen it by then. But Beetlejuice is out. Michael Keaton back in full swing, getting his flowers, by the way, from the entire global community, as he's deserved. My favorite thing about Michael Keaton, and there's a lot to like about him, Ray, is that he left acting for 20 years to take care of his kids. And I think that the fact he did that and came back and he's just doing all his characters again, pretty cool. And he's in his 70s. It's pretty cool.
I didn't realize he was that old, but I mean, it makes sense. And I mean, it's great to see. And it's.
Yeah, I don't think people realize he was out of the spotlight for about 20 years. And he just kind of reemerged one day. It was just
he did like little things here or there, but like, I mean, in credit where it's Beetlejuice 2.
Say the name. Say the correct
Beetlejuice. 110 million on its opening weekend.
Thus proving Hollywood really out of ideas and that IP is the way to go if you want to make a movie, which is really freaking sad. But Beetlejuice is a property that you and I both love, so this one's okay.
Yes.
The geek gods have deemed this okay.
Yeah. So, and I'll say this: I think the movie does a great job of paying tribute to the original while also setting kind of like Ghostbusters Afterlife, like while also paving the way forward if they wanted to continue this somehow.
I like that. I figured they would do that. I figured they would do that.
Yeah, and
because you got to have a Beetlejuice movie. Like that's when they named it that, I was like, oh. There's got to be a third.
There's got to be a third. Yeah. And they definitely, I mean, not to give anything away, they're definitely the door to the afterlife is open to once again do a third film. I think I'll say this, I enjoyed it. I don't think you have to see it in theaters. Like if this is going to go to HBO Max first because it is a Warner Brothers property. If you, I will say this, you'll enjoy it just as much if you wait for it to come out on streaming service. You will enjoy it. But if you don't have the money to go buy the ticket right now, it's okay. You can watch this on the small screen.
Ray, you bring up an interesting discussion here about like why do we even go to the movies? I think like the big blockbuster Marvel releases, they used to be reason to go. Star Wars, reason to go. When I think of Beetlejuice, it is really kind of on that verge, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was a niche film, the original, right? It was a cult classic.
I think the key word there was original. It was really an original film, and this one is obviously a sequel.
Burton's still kind of getting his wings under. That was Burton's first film after Pee-wee. It was only his second film. Like,
and it was brilliant, and that was the start of everything for him. People forget too. This came out before Batman, which is
and then came Batman, and then came Nightmare, and then came everything else after it.
So I will say this though, that when I think about going to see Beetlejuice in the theater, we talked about this earlier. Like I'm just kind of getting out of the house, like, and this is the perfect thing to get out of the house to go see. Yeah. So I agree with you. If you're strapped for cash, you know, you got to make that decision. But I'm saying like, I just kind of want an afternoon to just go and enjoy a movie. And this is a perfect title to do that.
Yes, absolutely.
It wasn't like Deadpool. It's like, I got to see this before people ruin it.
Right.
And I did. And thank God, because you all ruined it. I'm just kidding. Not you guys listening, because you know the Geeks Who Like Sports spoiler rules. You respect them. You respect us. We respect you. Thank you.
Yes. But yeah, I'll say Catherine O'Hara steals the show, in my opinion.
Interesting. Well, she's fantastic.
Yeah, she's amazing, but I think even more so than like in the previous film. I think her playing Delia Dietz, the stepmom to Lydia. I think she has a bigger role in this, and I think she actually has one of the most enjoyable arcs of the movie, honestly, like
I
from
can't wait to
beginning
watch
to
that.
end. Like, yeah, like I
She
think
was great
Catherine
in the
O'Hara.
original. She doesn't get enough credit for the original. I mean,
No, she doesn't get enough credit in general.
Yeah, that's a good
Right?
point.
Like
It's a
she's
great point.
phenomenal. Catherine O'Hara, you look at her filmography, she
Yeah.
is hysterical. She has always been hysterical and phenomenal and
Well, most of you will know her for saying Kevin as the mom in Home
obviously
Alone.
from Home
Yeah,
Alone
but
to
she was in Schitt's Creek, which is the name of the show.
Schitt's Creek, Waiting for
Yeah.
Guffman, like all of the Christopher Guest films. Like
Yeah.
she's had a long and storied career, and this is just another one, another feather in her cap.
A Mighty Wind was also very good.
So part of the Christopher Guest
yes.
series of films, right? Like, yeah, no, Best in Show. Like, I mean, yeah, she was in Best in Show, I think.
She was.
Right? Yeah,
She was.
yeah. No, she
Anyway,
was great. She
so
was
liked
great.
it.
I think she steals the show in this one.
So
honestly.
out of 10, what are you giving this? What would you give the original? 10 out of 10? Because I think the original is 10 out of 10.
I think the original is.
I think it's a perfect film, right? Because I had never seen anything like that in my life before it came out. That's why I give it a 10 out of 10.
I mean, you're giving it points for originality. I think that they do. I'll say this: in a similar way, they did so much in an hour and a half with the original film.
Yeah.
Right. I think that there were definitely some inconsistencies, I think, in the storytelling there. But I think the original is like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. I think this one is it's a 6 or a 7.
That's perfect for me. I'm fine with that.
Like, yeah, like
you're not going to beat the original.
No, and I think the it's both an interesting thing. They did a good job with it, but I think they try to do too much because there's I'm going to say there's 3 stories going on at once, and they kind of then intertwine and interweave and then come apart and then come back together, and everything kind of resolves itself at the end. But Beetlejuice has kind of his own motivation and story going. Lydia has her own story and motivation going. And then Jenna Ortega, who plays the daughter of Lydia, Astrid, character's name is Astrid. She has her own story going. And they're kind of running parallel to each other at different points. So you kind of have to focus on this more than you would a normal comedy to kind of stick with the narrative. But it comes together really nicely. And I think it resolves itself really well.
I'm going to allow it.
Yeah. So I don't think that's spoiling anything there to say that you have, but it's an interesting idea to have these three major characters have 3 very distinct stories and motivations that just happen to cross mingle. I thought they underused Monica Bellucci, who has been teased as she's one of the antagonists, we'll say. I think they underused her a little bit, but I think I loved what I saw in the afterlife. They kind of really expanded on that. And yeah, I'm not going to go much further than that. I'm not going to get into
spoiler-filled review next week.
I'm not going to get into any more specifics or anything of that nature, but I'll say I'm really curious to see what your thoughts are on it. Again, I'll say it's a 6.5 out of 10, since it's between 6 and 7, put it right there in the middle. Sure. I enjoyed it, but I could also have waited for this to hit HBO Max and probably still have enjoyed it and not spent the $20 on a ticket. So, yeah, so there we go. You know, we're not going to see in the movies very soon.
I do, because I have a rundown here that tells me everything that we're going to talk about, because we're professional broadcasters doing a professional show, and I am always prepared for this show.
Yeah. Sony basically says yeah. So surprise. Sony, by the way, we have another story right after this about Sony messing up again. So we got 2 crap on Sony stories.
Well, I hope the film we're talking about is obviously Spider-Man.
Yes, delayed possibly now till 2027. They're starting over.
I'm okay with it if they're doing it right.
Yes, but this is also a really big red flag from a creative standpoint that the studio and the creators can't get on the same page, and they're pulled the plug on it, and they're basically starting over on this because it takes so long to animate this. Yeah, it's brutal.
But at the same time, this is where I look. I don't want to say blindly trust the creators, but trust the creators, guys. They put 2 fantastic films together. Yeah. Fantastic. Complete this trilogy. Don't screw this up.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, if you felt like you needed to start over, and hopefully there's the right reasons, I'll wait for a great movie.
Yes.
All right. But you left this thing off.
Waited for Sonic.
Yeah, do not screw this up, and do not leave us hanging with where you left that film.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you left it on such a cliffhanger, the second film, like with the thought that we'd get the third within a year, and now it looks like it's going to be like 4 years after. Like that's
but like again, for an animated film of that style, that's okay. But let's get it done. Like get her done. How old will I be in 27? Never mind, I don't want to know.
Yep. Other Sony news today. Sony announced.
I just did the math. I really shouldn't have done that.
Okay,
nope,
shouldn't have done that. Nope. Other Sony news. They announced the PS5 Pro today, and they're talking about new ray tracing and better graphics and particle effects and no disk drive. $700. Sony, I want to also remind you folks that Sony has basically no games coming out in the next year until Wolverine finally hits. Fingers crossed.
They're banking on the Sony heads, PlayStation heads' love of that gaming network. That's what they're banking on. They're going to cash in. They have done the math. They know that a certain million amount of you are going to buy it because it's got an X, an O, a square, and a triangle, and you can't go to Xbox, and they're going to cash in on you, and you are going to lose because it shouldn't be about consoles anymore.
No, and especially not for a half-step upgrade, half graphical upgrade, and again, no disk drive. So if you like physical media,
hope you got good internet.
$700, both in the US and the UK.
Right. You know what's funny about this? They know that in 2 years to 5 years, you're paying a $29.99 a month subscription fee to Xbox complete. They know it. And guess what? That's worth more than the games and the console sales combined because it is cash flow over and over and over, month after month after month. I would pay $29.95 right now for that subscription service for unlimited gaming. And I don't even game that much.
Yeah.
Am I wrong, guys? Am I wrong out there in console land? Can you guys let go of the past? We got to move forward.
What's going to happen? Nintendo's going to announce next month Switch 2 for $300 with a new Mario, a new Metroid, and all this other stuff.
Now you know why they were waiting.
Yeah, because now when Nintendo comes out with their next system, Nintendo might actually raise the price a little bit, and they'll still look good. And they'll be like, $400, Switch 2. Oh yeah, but we're also launching with Mario, Star Fox, F-Zero, Donkey Kong, Metroid,
and our
games
entire
that
library.
you love.
Our entire Nintendo library.
Yeah. And the Switch Online, which gives you our entire past history.
Yeah. And we added to that too. Guys, listen, I understand loyalty. I see it in brands. I see it in sports equipment all the time. If someone does something better, nod your cap and take a look around. But they're going to cash in on, and it is a very loyal audience, the PlayStation audience. I'm not knocking them, but they're going to cash in on you, and you're going to pay it.
But the thing is, or I've seen people who have said, like, for that money, I'm going to get a good gaming PC, and I'm going to get the Switch 2, and I'll probably save money in the long run. And you know who's dominating? Also has all the stuff on PC. Who has Game Pass over on PC? Microsoft.
And again, too, it's like, man, if you're
killing yourself, Sony.
If you get a $700 console, it's like, if you can afford that,
that thing better make me dinner, better clean my house. $700.
There's people out there really struggling, and you're putting out a $700 system. Brutal.
I never buy these half-step consoles anyway, but I will do everything in my power to tell people to not buy this because it is mistake written all over it.
If it made
it is a mistake. That's what I'm saying. If it's gonna make me dinner, if it's gonna clean my house, do my laundry, $700.
If it made me dinner, I'd buy it.
I want this thing to be like a Roomba when it's not on, and I want it to be sweeping up my carpets because like $700. It better slice, dice, julienne, and do everything else, my friends, because there is no game console worth $700.
I want crinkle cut in that as well.
Waffle fries, baby. Make me some waffle fries.
We're going to Chick-fil-A. Go ahead, Ray.
Finally, we're going to wrap things up here today with a very somber note.
One of
the greatest actors to have ever lived.
Easily.
One of the greatest geek icons to have ever lived.
Absolutely.
the great James Earl Jones passed away at the ripe old age of 93 yesterday. He lived a great, amazing life. His filmography is
Our
legendary. Yeah,
entire
like
youth.
from Field of Dreams, Sandlot, Lion King, Star Wars, Coming to America. Like, this is just the ones I'm thinking off the top of my head. Like,
look, this man's characters introduced countless people to science fiction, to baseball, to comedy, to social issues that very much needed to be discussed at a time that they weren't being discussed.
yeah.
And then his animation as Mufasa. I mean, that's a profound career. And that's why we're saying we're celebrating, because he's 93. You can't argue with that many years on this planet.
Yeah.
As a gift, he left his voice to AI so he could continue to be Darth Vader, which is, when you think about what's going on in Hollywood and around the world, that's a gift he left all of us. And I only know about Vader. It might be even more.
Yeah.
Great career. I mean, just a model human being that represented so many different genres, so many different people, and so many different properties that we love. And that's just scratching the surface compared to the human being that he was, which is really the story here.
He started the Great White Hope, both the play and the film, like as Jack Johnson. Like, he was a great humanitarian. He was an amazing actor. I mean, you can't sing his praises enough.
Model
like, and
life.
if the measure of a man is based on his legacy, then he was something that we should all strive to be.
Yeah, you're not going to know anyone that has anything but nice things to say about him.
Yeah.
Right?
And
the tributes around the world.
Legend.
The Empire State Building lit up with Darth Vader imagery last night. I've always said this, Ray. I do want to, it's very rare that I will comment on the death of a celebrity. And the reason being is that people lose people every single day.
Sure.
And a celebrity's life is not worth more, in my opinion, than someone who lost their parents or friend or whatever, right? We lose people but this is one that I felt comfortable because of his impact on the world, right? He was more than just an actor. I felt the same way about when Robin Williams passed away.
Yes,
there was
I agree.
more there than just a childhood actor for us. And that's why we sing his praises today. So I think the gift here, anytime you can celebrate a life with this type of ease, is a gift, and very few people get. So he deserved it, and I'm glad that he got it, and I'm glad his family got it too, and I'm glad as a society and a world we got him.
Yeah. I mean, it's well said. I mean, there's nothing else to add to it. It just
good luck transitioning out of this.
Yeah. So
sorry.
On that note,
that's how you get comedy out of it. He would have appreciated that. Listen, I think there's only one way to end it. It's a quote from The Sandlot, right? Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. That is how we have to end this episode today. That is
on that note,
to the heavens right now.
On that note, for Lee, I'm Ray, and this has been the latest episode of Geeks Who Like Sports. Good night, everybody.